calling this meeting to order at 3:03, and we'll go through the roll call really quickly. Senator Rose, you can unmute yourself to say you're here.
Here.
Senator Shipman?
Here.
Senator Pierre-Louis? Also, if I say your last name wrong, please tell me if the correct name. Okay, Senator Lee? Senator Williams? Senator Forges? Senator Smith? Chair Velasquez?
Here.
Senator DePina? Senator Magee, is it McGee or Magee? McGee, okay, sorry about that, I'll get that right.
That's okay.
Senator Gervais? Senator Tessin?
Here.
Senator Sturgeon?
Here.
Chair Bates?
Here.
Chair Goggin?
I'm here.
Senator Driscoll?
Here.
Person, Senator Adams?
I'm here.
Senator Cohen-Odiaga?
Hey, Farine, I'm here.
Senator Hazlett?
Here. And it's actually Hazlett.
Sorry, Hazlett.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Senator Lyman?
Here. Lyman.
Senator Ruzick?
Here.
Senator Kulak?
Here.
Perfect. And I just realized I was really stupid to do that. Next time I'll just take a screenshot of the attendance. I was still in in-person mode, but we'll do that next time. That was my mistake, but don't worry about that. And otherwise, it's done. And let me
Senator Roberson is here too, just in case I.
Sorry?
Senator Roberson is here too, just in
Oh,
case.
yeah.
Sorry
I
about
saw your text, so. And is there a motion on the floor to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded.
Is there a motion to approve the old minutes?
Motion to approve the old minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
And are there any discretionary account expenses? Okay, moving on. Committee actions, campus community and affairs.
Hello, everyone. Last committee meeting, we kind of went over CCA plans and goals for the semester. We divided the committee into 4 different sections, and we formulated the questions for the first poll. We're going to send out towards late September, early August on remote learning. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Budget and finance.
Hey everyone, our first committee meeting went really well. We got everyone introduced to the committee and set up our group chat and all that good stuff. I think our next committee, we're gonna have some training on the budgeting software, so that should be good. I also had a faculty council meeting this week. I think, yeah, if Jaylee will probably update you a bit on that because I know she worked on this as well, but we, wrote a letter to the faculty just regarding webcam usage in class and kind of explained all the different situations that students could find themselves in. If you want to see the whole letter, I can certainly get that to you. But yeah, that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Student events and organizations.
Hi, everyone. Quick location change. We had our first committee meeting last week. It went really well. A little dry because we went over the new budgeting software. But we're looking to get started. We got a couple of requests that have come in for some virtual events, so we're really excited to see clubs really trying to keep an activity level, even though we are remote. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Officer reports, president report. Vice president report. We'll move on to the vice president report.
Hi everyone. John Ray sends his regards for not being here,
but that means my report might be a little longer, so please bear with me. There's a lot to work on. I will definitely start with what Jake had mentioned. So Jake worked with Senator Bates, Chair Bates, worked with us this past week on Monday, really to kick off this letter from President Javier, myself, and Chair Bates to the Faculty Council, and it was sent out to the Faculty Council. However, we've been contacted by a few different faculty, and it seems to have gone out to all faculty, which is very interesting to hear, but we've gotten a lot of feedback, and we'll definitely, the three of us will be connecting more with faculty to see how the undergraduate student government can sort of support anything on the student end. And a little bit about what was sent out from the three of us was just a letter regarding webcams and kind of the concerns and dangers that they hold for our different student groups across the whole university, and we kind of just laid those out so faculty and staff can kind of look at those and really see and determine whether they should be using webcams. However, we definitely push for them not to. So we will definitely see what happens with the faculty across the university. Now I will begin on the list. So Leadership Council with Vice Chancellor DiSabatino. We are on that, John Ray's on that committee, but we'll be meeting up again starting this upcoming week or the week after. John Ray is on the Provost Search Committee, so they are currently looking for a new provost, and that is active, and the search is happening. I believe they're launching off in the next couple of weeks for a deeper search for that. We also had a meeting with the UMB PD with Officer Coviello, and we talked a little bit about interactions of students with the UMB PD, as well as some ideas to kind of help with student engagement with the police, and something that we had thought about was having a possible campus police dog, and less of kind of more of an interactive dog like a lab, if any of y'all are familiar, to sort of be engaging and more friendly with students. But that is also with the Police Community Advisory Board, which we do have 2 cabinet members on currently, and that will be starting up very soon as well. We are meeting with the Vote Coalition and hoping to kick off an event this upcoming week. So definitely check on the MassPerg Instagram and also our own Instagram, and we'll be sending more information out on that as it happens. We've, as you can see, there's some new members here. Alex is back. He is our big representative, our Boston Intercollegiate Government representative. And we're currently interviewing. Hadley is also one of our big representatives, and we're currently interviewing for other positions. However, Big and the Police Community Advisory Board, the 2 members on that board are Kamiyah Harkin and Handel Ulysses. So very excited to also have them on board with us. We also attended the division-wide meeting for student affairs at the end of August, and that was great to kind of see what the division is doing as staff and sort of how the overlap is with us as students and us as USG. And we also went to the Multicultural Collaborative with different student organizations and centers, and kind of got a better view on what they're thinking about, and they're thinking about funding as well as other issues around the campus. So definitely we'll be having more updates from that as well as the time goes on. We met with the Academic Continuity Task Force over the summer and got more guidance on them and connections for faculty council to write this letter, as well as other things such as a student success committee that they're hoping to see is pushed through this fall. But we will definitely let people know more on that, and that would definitely be more engaging with students as well. The fall planning committee is currently at a little bit of a hold, but I'm hoping that will be starting up soon. Gail, definitely let us know. But that was a great chance over the summer to kind of see the planning that the staff are doing. And the last thing, we met with with Chancellor Suarez Orozco in the beginning of August, and we got to meet him and kind of see what his vision for the university is, as well as stating a few things that are definitely pressing at the university, even though we're not on campus, such as student space, internet, and other access for students currently in the remote setting, and other things. That was definitely long. Apologies, everyone. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Vice President. So, speaker report. The only thing I have to report is senators. I'll be reaching out to you and this week or maybe next week, regarding one-on-one calls with you, just to talk about like how everything's going, if there's anything I can do to make GA better for you guys, and then also to talk about like senator projects. So it can be over Zoom or it can be phone calls and stuff like that. But it's just one-on-one with senator, speaker, and just to catch up and see like what you guys want to do this year, and specifically your senator project. That's all I have to report. So we'll move on to the vice speaker report.
I don't have much to report. It's just that these meetings will be recorded and up on the YouTube channel soon. And that's it.
Thank you. Student trustee report. Also, you should be able to share your screen now. Gosh.
Awesome. Thank you. So a few things to report on. Yesterday, we had our first committee on academic and student affairs. It went really well. Great discussion. I'm going to share a slide in a few moments. But essentially, we talked about how in the spring semester, how each of the campuses did with students in transitioning to online. And one of the things that they took a look at was credit completion. So let me pull up the PowerPoint so I can show that slide to you guys. Just give me one moment. And so they did analysis of this past spring and how undergraduates did for credit completion, and they compared it to spring of 18 and spring of 19. They just wanted to see, did students complete less credits, or did they complete all the credits they had taken this past semester compared to previous ones? So I can share my screen here. So if everyone can see my screen, you can see that, and this was, when we saw this information, it was a bit of a surprise, and we were all, there was some, in a sense, happy conversation because across the board in all 4 campuses, in spring 20, there was more students had completed full credits that they had earned compared to spring 18 and spring 19. And essentially, this was the best semester that each of the campuses had in recent years. And obviously, it was a bit of a shock because we had expected, or one would assume that a lot of students might have, pass-failed a lot more courses. So it wouldn't necessarily count towards the full credits earned, or a lot of students, because of the difficulty in getting online, whatever their situation was, that they might have had to, drop this semester, or they had to withdraw from their classes. But it's very interesting to see, and kind of encouraging to see that students overcame some of the obstacles they had faced, and students really did as much as they could to push through and finish off the semester, and faculty as well. They did a great job adjusting to the situation, and overall, it shows that students did well, but obviously in the back end, there's a lot that can be learned from this. There's a lot that can be improved upon, and in between the spring and now, there have been a lot of improvements that the board has seen and that each of the campuses are working on. So this is one of the biggest things that we had talked about yesterday, that all across the board, the campuses had a great semester overall, given that we had this COVID-19 situation. And then I had also...
Senator Shipman had a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I had a question. So you mentioned that you would expect it to go down because people were allowed to pass-fail, but wouldn't that not, if people pass-fail, they still get full credits for that course?
In general, like there was an expected that the campuses overall wouldn't see students getting a higher completion of full credits.
Was there any discussion about whether or not people being able to pass fail actually helped the number of credits? Because then people, who felt that they may not get the best grade but would pass could have the pass fail option, thus completing those credits and increasing the number of credits.
That's a good question. That specific question wasn't really brought up. I think in general, it was understood that all the campuses had some sort of pass-fail policy where it favored the students. So I think a lot of them might have just taken that under assumption.
Was it at all discussed why it went up? Because that is a really interesting finding. Was that broken down at all?
Not entirely, but we are going to have more in-depth separate meetings with Assistant Chancellor Newman. So that's something I can also bring up there. But overall, great question that you asked there, Senator Shipman.
Thank you, Kush.
No problem. And then I inquired about the pass-fail policy because obviously we had it last semester and the other campuses did as well. So each of the campuses faculty council or faculty senate, they're looking into it, they're inquiring about it, and it looks like most of the campuses will do the same thing or have a very similar pass-fail policy. Next week, I have a admin and finance meeting, our full committee meeting, and then following that, full board meeting. And in those meetings, there will be just a big discussion on our financial situation, how UMass is doing, and what our projections are looking like for the next year or so. And then I also have a meeting with the other student trustees tomorrow with the vice president of admin and finance and her team to kind of just prep a little bit more for the meeting to understand the full scope of it all. And then I have a meeting scheduled with our chancellor in the next few weeks and kind of go over some other things, board related and other initiatives that I have being planned. But that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Trustee Patel. We'll move on to the Chief Justice report.
All right, I have not a lot to report, but just a few things to touch on. After special elections, we're planning on giving the proficiency exam. Don't worry too much about it. As long as you review the Constitution and bylaws, you should be fine. I'll touch more on that when we get closer to that. The judicial branch is also planning on launching a new website. This would allow senators or regular students to bring business before the court. If you have any questions on the bylaws, Constitution, judicial forms, applications, or any training videos, please ask me. I'll email you the link when we launch it. We also are going to start a new project for this semester. We're going to be working with Dr. Harris and the rest of the committees to go through the bylaws and see what doesn't really apply anymore. More information will be coming soon. We're going to meet as a full branch in October. Other than that, I don't really have anything else to report.
Thank you, Justice Moylan. Now we're going to move on to Senator report. So this is usually the time, senators, where you talk about things you're working on or how your senator projects are going. So we will start with Senator Cohen-Odiaga.
Hey folks, thank you. Kind of tying into a little bit with what Chair Velasquez was saying, I'm very pleased to announce that USG officially has a TikTok. We are trying to reach out to students, especially freshmen, most of whom are, let's be real, are on TikTok. So we do have TikTok now. It's UMass USG, just like our other social medias. Give it a follow. If you have suggestions for TikTok content or you are interested in being on our TikTok or making a video, please reach out to Chair Velasquez or myself, and we will. We want to get that going. We want to reach out. Obviously, we have a lot of stuff on our Instagram, but we wanted to reach out to freshmen to get them more involved, and so we decided to make a TikTok. So yeah, that's a thing.
Thank you, Senator Cohen-Odiaga. Any other senators who have something to report? Okay, seeing no hands raised, and I don't see any video hands raised either. And seeing as we have no old business, we're going to go straight to new business. And that we are going to go to the legislation we have. I emailed everyone a copy of the legislation, so if you want to bring it up, but I can also share my screen so that we can do the legislation if you guys prefer. Only thing is I'll keep a track of hands as well, but Chair Bates, if you want to take it away and present on the legislation, you can go ahead.
Sure. I'm sorry, I missed the, are you sharing your screen or am I sharing mine?
Which would you prefer?
You can share yours because I don't have it up right now.
Okay, cool. I'll do that.
Okay.
Can everybody see that?
All right, I think everyone can see that. So basically over the summer, I was talking to Kush about the fact that only 2 student trustees really have voting power across all 5 campuses. And I got kind of a history lesson that was pretty interesting. I'm going to kind of let him go into more detail about that because it's relevant to this bill. So Kush, I'll just let you take that first because it's relevant information.
All right. So I apologize in advance if I take too long or if I go too much into history here. But essentially, the Board of Trustees obviously is our governing body for the UMass campuses. It's a 22-member board. 17 members are appointed by the governor. 5 of those 5 members are elected students from each of the 5 campuses. And so ever since, UMass was established, and again, it was it's Mass General Law that, back at that time when they had established the law, it was only Amherst and Boston campus. So when the law was passed, there was writing in it that said a student from the Amherst and Boston campus would be elected and serve as a student trustee. And so those 2 students were able to vote on the Board of Trustees. And obviously since then into now, we've added 3 more campuses. But the law has never changed following that. So for years now, it's been only 2 student trustees able to vote, and it was on a rotation basis. So this year, the Amherst trustee and myself have voting privileges on the board, and next year will be the next 2 student trustees in the rotation. And in 2013, the student trustee from our campus actually was an intern with then Representative Walsh, and I believe a conversation was had, and Rep. Walsh actually put in a bill, this exact same bill, which is H1222. Essentially, just it says that we're going to give the other 3 student trustees the ability to vote, and that bill has always been filed by whoever has sat in that seat. Obviously, Rep. Walsh is now our mayor, and so the current rep has been filing this. Daniel, I forget his last name, but he's been filing this bill, and at the beginning of last year of my term, myself and the Amherst trustee, we had talked about this bill. We talked about we want to try to get a bill passed and give the other 3 student trustees the ability to vote. And so we had done some research on this bill, and then we looped in the other student trustees. And we actually testified in front of the Joint Committee on Higher Ed in which this bill resides, and started to build some more traction and momentum for this bill. We established a whole campaign and like a Facebook campaign called 5 Campuses, 5 Votes, and trying to spread the word about how only 2 student trustees are voting, and they're making decisions that impact 75,000 students across 5 campuses. And so it's not representative enough. Obviously having myself, I vote and I am bringing the perspective of the Boston campus, but whatever I'm bringing forward, it might be a different perspective that someone from the Dartmouth campus has, but I have to vote on behalf of all 75,000 students. So it's not fair to the Dartmouth representative. In a very similar situation last year, when the board went to go approve our new chancellor, the board had to vote on him, obviously. But at the time, the Lowell and the med school trustee had voted to approve it. And obviously, it's a little weird, like obviously the Boston trustee, myself, I can't vote on the chancellor who's coming to our campus. So there's some examples where it just doesn't make sense. So this is something that we've been working on. We've met with multiple legislators, Speaker DeLeo, Senate President Spilka, other members of the legislature to get support. And we had built a strong support, but as time went on, when we kept on meeting with the Joint Committee on Higher Ed, they had said that they had put the bill to study, which essentially means it just gets killed. And their reasoning was that, if we pass this through, and if the bill does get passed and signed into law, then, who's to say that the faculty or other members of the community won't start in a sense, kind of complaining and start bringing up issues like, oh, I want to be on the board of trustees. So that was their fear they had. And so that's something that, we really didn't think was a entirely valid fear to, kill this bill. So again, we're bringing back the momentum. We're gonna try to testify again, talk to more senators and representatives and get their support for this. We're meeting with a bunch of other people within higher education in Massachusetts to kind of get more support. And this is just an extra step we're trying to add to get, our campus's student government to vote and approve on this. So that's kind of it. Sorry for the little bit of a long history lesson there, but yeah, essentially this bill just gives the other 3 student trustees the ability to vote on the board.
Yeah, Farine, I don't know if you want to scroll down. I think the bill in the House is actually included in it. It's very technical because it's just changing a few words within the law to increase the 2 reps to 5 because there's 5 campuses. So it's kind of weird to read because you can't really tell what it's referring to, but that is what it's changing. So that's basically all of it. We're pretty much just endorsing this bill and trying to get more representation from all 5 student trustees on the Board of Trustees. If anyone has any questions, happy to hear them.
Any senators have any questions? Feel free. Okay, Senator Sturgeon.
I was just curious, have we at all talked to the Amherst student trustee about this and gotten their input? Because if we could get them to do something similar, I don't know if they have or haven't,
Yes.
that could also get more attention as well.
No, that's a great point. And this, the other student trustees and I, we have our own group chat, so we talk regularly. And so they know about this. And this is something that actually at the, on their election cycle last year, they proposed it as a school-wide question just to get everyone to vote on it. I think that's just something that that's something they have to do through their student government. So that's something they did already and had gotten the formal support from their campus about it.
Senator Cohen-Odiaga.
Is it too early to propose an amendment?
I think you can do that at any time.
Okay. So I believe that you're always more compelling as an advocate when you have a personal story. And I wasn't aware that Trustee Patel was not able to vote on our own chancellor. I'd like to propose that we add in the whereas section, whereas our current chancellor was elected by the board, but our own student trustee was not a voting member. There might be better language to explain that, but I think this is personal to us. We had our chancellor chosen for us and our own trustee was not able to vote on that. And I think that is a more powerful story and a more powerful argument than just, having it in this general thing. We want to connect to ourselves in this real concrete example. There's, Trustee Patel is mentioning this kind of slippery slope argument against the bill. Well, here's a real, actual, tangible situation that's not a slippery slope that has impacted real students.
I'm just gonna, can I ask Senator Cohen-Odiaga to repeat that so I can type it in, and then we will move to vote on the bill and with the amendment. But can I ask you to repeat that?
Whereas the current chancellor of UMass Boston was elected by the Board of Trustees during a time that our own student trustee was not a voting member.
Sorry, one more time.
The current chancellor of UMass Boston was elected by the board at a time when the UMass Boston student trustee was not a voting member.
Okay, so what we'll do is unless I want to answer like just maybe one more question about this. So Senator Shipman, you can go ahead, and then what we'll do is we'll vote on the amendment in the bill.
Yes, I just wanted to comment on the wording of the amendment. I think it might be better to have the chancellor's name, because it won't always be current, so that it could be, referenced back to at a different time. So if that's okay with Leah.
I agree, absolutely.
So Marcelo Suarez Orozco, is that correct? And then perhaps to drive the point home at the end of this sentence, just, comma, leaving the UMass student body voiceless.
I agree with that as well. Thank you. I think it's supposed to be current chancellor of UMass Boston, then name.
Yeah, or taking out current, just in some way making this timeless.
Okay, so what we'll do is I'll look for a motion to move to a vote on including the amendment in the legislation. So can someone?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amendment as written.
Is there a second? So those in favor of approving the amendment, whereas the current chancellor of UMass Boston, so just that amendment, please raise your hands in the participants tab, or you can do it on the video as well, but I would prefer to.
I don't know why it's not giving me an option to raise my hand in the participants tab, but
that's okay. Are you raising your hand?
My hand.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the way that is if Chief Justice Moylan could take a screenshot of those who have raised their hand, but I'm looking at right now, it looks like I believe it's passing.
Never mind, I found it.
And you have Earl too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that passes. So the ayes have it. So the amendment is approved. Now I'll just take a quick screenshot of that. Unless anybody has, everyone can like lower their hands now. Unless anyone has any other questions about this legislation with the included amendment, I will look for a motion to move to a vote. Those hands, Senator Kulak, Senator Smith, and Senator Adams, are those for questions?
Nope, that's just me forgetting to lower it.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. So unless anybody has any other questions, during this time, if you have questions, just raise your hand.
I'd like to make a motion to move to a vote.
Okay, is there a second?
Seconded.
Seconded.
Those in favor of approving BSR 2020 F001, please raise your hands in the participants tab. Okay, and Justice Moylan, did you get the screenshot of that?
Sorry about that. Hold on just a second. My Max.
Take your time. We need a screenshot just for voting records.
All right, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
All right, so those opposed, please raise your hand. So
Just to confirm,
Any of
Isabella and were you opposing or?
No.
raised your hand? All right, sorry about that.
And were there any abstentions? No, okay. All right, so this legislation passes.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
All right, moving on. We'll move on to open forum now, seeing like that was the only thing on new business. So if you would like to speak, please raise your hands. Senator Robertson.
Good afternoon, USG. I'm Senator Robertson. I just have, well, I guess I can make a statement before my question. And my statement is for the new senators, I would like to, I guess, lay out some expectations from my position, which is not a position that can give expectations, but I'm going to do it anyway. So anyway, in the undergraduate student government, I'm really hoping that a lot of the new senators fully grasp their responsibility and figure out ways to make our university better for the student body. I know we're in a different capacity this semester with doing online only, but I think that adds an even more interesting aspect to our advocacy and what we need to do as a team to help the student body. So let's take this opportunity to get creative. Don't allow anything or anyone to deter you from trying new ideas. Speak up, speak out, and advocate as much as possible for the student population. So aside from that, my question is in regards to the cabinet member positions. And basically, I'm kind of interested in why does a senator have to give up their position in order to be in the cabinet? Now, I understand that these are different branches, but I'm not sure I see that in the bylaws where this is not allowed. And the thing that I'm thinking is, these are very attractive positions. I would love to be one of them or two of them, but I don't want to give up my voting powers and my ability to put forth legislation. Also, another concern I have with the cabinet member positions is I'm not sure if they will be expected to pass the proficiency exam. Now, while they aren't senators or voting members, I do still believe that if they're going to operate as a component within the USG or, connected to the USG in such a way that then we need to add a requirement for them to also complete the proficiency exam. And I guess I just have more, questions about the cabinet positions, more clarification on qualifications, guidelines, how do these people get put forth? I see that, it said, hey, you can recommend it to anyone, and I get that, but will there be, expectations as far as the members are concerned? Will they have to meet a certain GPA? I'm not trying to be exclusionary. I'm just saying that this seems to be really, really broad, and it may open a can of worms for things to happen that we don't want to happen. Now, in lieu of all of that, I will add that I 1,000,000,000% support the cabinet position. I just want to make sure that we clean it up and sharpen it up to the best of our abilities to make sure that this thing lasts, for the duration that it needs to last.
Thank you, Senator Robertson. I feel like that would be a question for many people. Regarding the clarification of cabinet positions, that would go to Vice President Pereira. Regarding clarification in the bylaws, I believe Chief Justice Moylan is working on fixing the clarification. So if you want to go as well, but whoever wants to go first, feel free to go ahead. So we'll start with Vice President Pereira.
Hi, Maurice, Senator Robertson. I can speak a little bit about the cabinet positions as far as what we are looking for and how we select them, and a little bit about how we kind of structure them during our term in office. So our cabinet positions are we interview for them. So for the legal side, that's definitely Justice Moylan that can talk to you about that. But for the aspect of being in the cabinet itself, we have a couple of criteria, such as 3 to 5 hours a week, and that is due to the different meetings that you would attend as a cabinet member. So one of the cabinet members, for example, are a diversity officer. We've interviewed one student for that so far, and they have previously been in a cabinet before. So that's definitely something that we look at. We look at, when we're interviewing, we look at passion for the student body, to not only have this passion for change in whatever position the cabinet member might be in, but also that they have the lived experience for the office or position, and they can bring in their own experience as well as people they know and those personal experiences. Our cabinet members definitely need to have as I said, a passion, and with that passion also a drive for change and to see change happen. So they definitely need to be there and kind of ready for any pushback that they might get, and to really just push for the student body and be that voice. So as far as the selection, it's definitely not limited to USG. However, we've looked at trusted student leaders all over campus, and we've gotten even referrals, or people have reached out to us. So we are in that interview process. And from that interview process, we pick the person who may be able to commit the most time, or be able to portray the most change and passion we see. So it's a lot of different criteria we look for in our cabinet members. It's definitely not one thing and then we kind of look at that and make our decision based on that. But it's a lot of different factors and how we overall see the interviewee. And we have a lot of different questions that we ask them as well. There was definitely a lot of questions that you fired off, so I'm trying to figure out which ones I can answer. But the different positions we've selected as well are positions we've seen have needed voices from students over our past 3 years, as well as this year, especially even in a remote sense. There's many things that we can speak up about that have happened on campus or do happen on campus whenever we do go back. So just making sure that those voices are kind of being heard, and that we're making those connections with different administration, faculty, and staff. So a lot of the work of the cabinet will be to sit on committees, meetings, boards that President Javier or myself cannot sit on due to time constraints, but we trust that our cabinet members can fill in for us. They will give us reports if there's something. They will give reports in GA if that we feel as though that's needed, though we would like them to speak at every GA, even though it's not required if there's nothing that's been going on with their cabinet member position. I hope I answered all your questions about what the position entails. If I did not, please let me know, and I can definitely elaborate.
Thank you, Vice President. I also want to highlight a comment Dr. Harris made. Cabinet members are required to pass the same GPA and disciplinary check as all other members of USG, and also I think Shelby can answer your other questions, so I will give it over to her.
I don't want to jump the line. Leah was before me, so I'd like to go in order.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So, Senator Cohen-Santiago.
A question for the Vice President or maybe the Chief Justice. Are cabinet members subject to Senate approval? Because I know our Supreme Court justices are, but are cabinet members subject to Senate approval?
Cabinet members actually are not. They simply serve at the pleasure of the president. However, they can, like, in the event that they do violate like some kind of USG bylaw or USG or like violate some aspect of the USG Constitution. They can be subject to like impeachment or something like that, but they don't have to be confirmed, if that makes sense.
So to answer the question briefly about whether a cabinet member could be a senator and an executive cabinet member, I've just done a quick glance at the bylaws, and while it specifically doesn't prohibit it, the thought when this model for student government overall was created was for check and balances. So meaning that if people were serving in one branch, then they weren't also serving in another branch. And so allowing for some good conversations and those checks and balances like we see in our national government. So I think the ideal is that that person doesn't serve. I think the Chief Justice and I'll have to have a conversation offline to find out if that's something that we feel through the documents that we have on file is explicitly stated enough. And I would also like to mention that I don't have the exact number, but there are also approximately 12,000 undergraduate students at the university. And I would hope that aside from the group that's here, we could give leadership opportunities to those other students who might be interested in leading and spread that leadership as well. So Chief Justice Moylan and I apologize for that, folks. We'll meet offline and get a better definitive answer.
Thanks, Doc. I appreciate that.
The biggest thing I could find that like kind of explicitly states it is in the bylaws 2-1305 and 2-1306, both of which deal with conflict of interest, where an official may not vote on any act or resolution which would create a conflict of interest. And 2-1306 is, 2-1304 and 305, that's my bad. No official will participate in any business or activity or have any financial interest which would create a conflict between private interest and the best interest of the undergraduate student government. So just, for example, in the event of the president being impeached or something, if a senator were to serve as a cabinet member as well, that would create a conflict of interest and they wouldn't be able to fulfill the full duties of their Senate requirement. So that's the biggest thing I could see for that. There's also some smaller instances, for example, last year when Macy Jones resigned in order to become vice president, stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I agree with Shelby about, cleaning it up, I guess, and making the language more explicit with the cabinet members. Yeah, so that makes perfect sense.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Senator DePina.
Yeah, I wanted to be in the cabinet, but I also wanted my senator position. But Senator Robinson, I am here to fight for the student body, and I'm always organizing on campus, and I'm actually organizing to Zoom, and I just had a cross-campus town hall with different schools, Harvard, Northeastern, and I have the recording I could share with you guys. But this is the momentum that we need to help all the students while we go through this transition.
Thank you. We'll move on to Chair Bates.
Yeah, I believe Senator Robinson also asked this, but it wasn't answered. It just kind of got lost. But I'm also curious, are cabinet officials subject to the, can't think of the word, the assessment that we have to take? I forget what it's called.
I believe so. I'm pretty sure it says in the bylaws. I'd have to check again, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't specify like, oh, it's only senators that have to take it. I think it's any USG official in the cabinet would be that.
Thank you.
Vice President Pereira.
So I don't believe MassPerg made it today, but I just wanted to state a couple of things from them that are going on. So next week, September 22nd, on Tuesday, is National Voter Registration Day. So one of their events that they'll be doing from 12 to 3 They'll be having a UMass Boston Vote Coalition Friends Help Friends Vote text bank. So if you would be interested in that, it'll basically, we just got the information about 10-20 minutes ago, but basically it'll be volunteers. So if you're interested in this, please reach out to them, or you can reach out to me and I can redirect you. And we'll be doing basically text to people to try to get them to vote and sign up to vote. So I will also send, I'm sure they would want to advertise this website, but studentvote.org is what we're basically using for students to register to vote. And I'll be sending that out just in the chat. So definitely check that out if you're not registered, and spread that out, because I know they would definitely want that spread out. And we'll be having more updates about that, most likely not next week, but the next GA. And hopefully they're not here, but if they're not, I'll definitely speak on kind of what they would hope to say.
Thank you. Chair Laboa Velasquez.
Hi, so I just want to remind all of you that special elections are now open. We are working on CCA to try to promote people from becoming senators. So I want to encourage all of you, not only people from CCA, to also promote this. You guys are talking about having different positions in student government and how sometimes a senator has to give up their seat to become a cabinet member. So we lose one person, but now we have the opportunity to get more people. So I will just want to encourage you to keep promoting it on social media. You can reshare our post and create your own. That's totally okay.
Thank you. Unless there are any other hands, I want to raise attention really quickly about the exact bylaw says that the proficiency exam will be administered to all elected USG officials, but cabinet members don't fall under elected officials. But I would trust that Chief Justice Moylan and Shelby will be working on clearing the bylaws regarding that. And yeah, does anybody have Senator Cohen-Odiaga?
But to clarify, amendments to the bylaws need to come out of this body, correct? Or because I remember we've amended the bylaws before. We amended them a couple of times, and it seems that would not, changing the cabinet member proficiency exam would be a substantive change. So I believe under the bylaws, a change of that nature would have to come through us, correct?
Chief Justice Moylan?
Yeah, so the project we're working on isn't so much as we're not going in and completely changing it around on you guys or anything. What we're doing is we're going to identify key parts of the bylaws that either no longer apply or need to be clarified. And then we're going to turn it over to you guys, so that ideally we're not going to be completely ripping it apart, but we're going to be identifying the main key parts that need change.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any, Vice President Pierre?
Apologies, another thing. So another thing that President Javier and myself wanted to bring up was just kind of an open discussion or just feedback about remote learning and how all of you are doing and how other students are doing. Anything, honestly, that you would kind of like to give feedback on right now. Obviously, there's probably a lot, but anything would be appreciated in our conversations with admin or faculty and staff, just really giving the honest feedback. So anything is welcome, anything at all.
Thank you. Anybody else who would like to say anything for open forum, senator or no senator?
Yeah, this is Isabel again. I just wanted to know if I missed the police reform.
Sorry?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to know if I had missed the police reform meeting, and if it didn't happen, when is it going to happen?
Senator DePina, I think you're speaking about the police advisory board, police community advisory board, and that's a board with specific members that have been elected from various different offices and organizations across UMass Boston. and they will be meeting. Their first meeting has not been set out yet, but we do have, we've elected 2 members to be on that, Kamiyah Harkin as well as Handel Ulysses. So they will be sitting on that board, but they will also hopefully be coming to the next GA as well. So you can definitely get connected with them as well.
All right, thank you, President, Vice President.
Senator Robertson?
Yes, I have a question about that, Vice President. I mean, you just brought it to my attention. How were these people selected for this board?
So we selected Kamiyah Harkin and Handel Ulysses. I will give a little bit about both of them. However, I would definitely rather them share more about themselves, as I don't want to overshare to what they've trusted us with. But Kamiyah Harkin is part of our Office of Student Leadership and Community Engagement. She has worked with various different organizations across Boston for the Black Lives Matter movement, but she has also worked with the university for our BLK conference, which happened last February, and we're hoping to happen again. And she's been very invested in this community. She's also the president of the UMass Boston NAACP chapter. She's very open and reachable, so if you'd like to speak to her, she's very friendly, so you can definitely ask her more about herself. And our other is Handel Ulysses, and he is working with our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion as a student equity access team founder and coordinator, and he has had his own personal experiences that he would like to bring to the board as well. But yes, that's a little bit about them, as much as I would like to share.
Yeah, well, that sounds good. I guess I just wanted to know if you guys sought them out or if they sought you out. Did you put out a banner for these positions, or did you just kind of go and look at people's school stats or see who was running particular organizations with a particular person in mind? How did you go about choosing these people? Sorry if.
Oh, that's totally fine. So we actually thought about these 2 folks because of the personal stories that they did share with us, and that the thoughts that they could bring to this board for the student body and voicing for all of the students, and really just kind of being that voice that is needed on this board.
Thank you.
Anybody else for open forum? Okay, seeing no hands raised, I will look for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And yeah, perfect. We ended exactly at 4.